Hare Krishna.
Hare
So thank you for joining all the devotees. So I heard you are all very enthusiastic for book distribution. I was very pleased. At the same time, we have to continue our Bhagavatam study. So yesterday, of course, Saturday we cancelled, but we want to continue our study on Srimad Bhagavatam to cover our syllabus at least. So we'll be continuing our Canto 2, chapter 2. Last 3 verses are remaining. And then we will start a new chapter text. Chapter 3 is a beautiful chapter. Chapter 3 also. Because first and second are a little more technical in terms of explaining about yoga system and all. But of course, this section is very beautiful in terms of glorifying bhakti. And third chapter is mostly focused on bhakti aspect. How Sukadeva Swami is establishing the path of bhakti. Okay, we are in a text. I'll just share. We are in text 35. Okay, let us read the section summary. Then we'll come to, so that we are in line what we are doing. After a week, it may be difficult to connect where we are. Okay, please read these two sections summary. Someone?
Verses 15 to 32. Shukadeva Goswami describes how the successful bhakti yogi, who is able to quit his body as he likes, can purify himself of material gross and subtle bodies, extinguishing all material desires. After pushing his life air through the cerebral hole and gradually ascending through the higher planets, he can at last pierce the outer coverings of the universe and enter into the kingdom of God. This process was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma. Verse 33 to 37. Shukadeva Goswami recommends direct devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, as the most auspicious means of deliverance for those who are wandering in the material universe. He explains that Lord Krishna is the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, and that devotional service to him is the perfection of religion. Therefore, one should hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord.
So here we are seeing a section of Bhakti Yoga. And as we discussed that, so the Goswami is establishing the bhakti, especially sadhana bhakti, as a process, as a means for the two questions that Parishit Maharaj asked in the 19th chapter. Also, the Goswami is giving a conclusion, establishing bhakti as the topmost process. Because sadhana bhakti as a sadhana, which fructifies to prema bhakti. Though we say in bhakti, definitely we say in bhakti, it's sadhana and sadhya, the means and the goal are same. Just like Prabhupada gives example of ripened mango and unripened mango. So mango is mango, but it is one stage. It tastes little sour, little bitter, but when it is ripened, it becomes very tasty. Same mango. So it's like that. The Bhakti Yoga, the process and the limbs and all the activities are same. But there is a change in the consciousness. That's what the third chapter Prabhupada titles as the change of the heart, pure devotional service. It's a beautiful title. Prabhupada gives the change of the heart. That's where we try to actually taste real nectar of pure devotional service. It's when there is a change in the heart. So otherwise, it's a process is same. I mean, the limbs are same, the activities are same. So, but the attitude has to be changed. There are forms, there are activities, and there are attitudes. Three things are there. Just like His Grace Rajamru gives one example, that just like when Putana entered into Vrindavan, she changed the form. So her form was very beautiful. She was like a gopi only, exactly. She was very enchanting to all the ladies, to all the Vrindavan vasis. And the activity also is almost like Mother Yashoda, giving milk to Mother baby Krishna. The form is same, the activity is also same, appears to be, but the attitude is different. So her attitude was something different than the Vrindavan vasis. So in bhakti also, from sadhana bhakti to prem bhakti, the forms will remain same, the activities may remain same, but the attitude has to be changed. So that's why Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Instruction, and that the advancement of the student or candidate depends on the attitude of the follower. So that's what we are heading to, the change of the heart. Now the second chapter is the Lord in the heart. The third chapter, Prabhupada names it the change of the heart. So by recognizing the Lord in the heart, then by doing sadhana in consciousness of the Lord in the heart, we will try to change our heart. Okay, so technically the section where Sukadeva Goswami is now establishing bhakti with comparison, with contrasting with the yoga system, Ashtanga Yoga. In the third chapter, in the initial verses, he contrasts with Karma Yoga. The Sakam Karma. He will take the different demigod worshippers and then contrast with pure bhakti. So that's how the series is going on. So that's why here it's mentioned the most auspicious means of deliverance for those who are wandering in the middle universe is direct devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. Of course, here he establishes in this second chapter as Bhakti Yoga. In the third chapter, he establishes in contrast with Karma Yoga, demigod worshippers. Okay, we will go through the verses, text 35 to 37. Text 35. So, Bhagavan sarvabhuteshu लक्षितः स्वात्मना हरिः द्रष्ट्यैर्बुद्ध्यादिभिर्द्रष्टा लक्षणैरनुमापकैः. Please read translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation: the personality of Godhead Lord Sri Krishna is in every living being along with the individual soul, and this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence.
So this section
Supreme Personality
where establishing bhakti nahi anyatosya pantha vishata samstaviha vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yogo yatho bhavet. So then he established that this is also confirmed by Brahma. So that we have seen in the last verses that the section 33 where the section is given establish sadhana bhakti as the best of all paths. The bhakti is the most auspicious means of deliverance. So there is no other path. He established in 34. He says attraction is the highest religion. The Brahma personality he also established after studying Vedas 3 times. He went through Vedas 3 times scrutinizingly, and then establishing the attraction to Krishna is the topmost goal, topmost perfection of religion. So that is Sukadeva Goswami himself is giving authority, authenticity to what he said. So then, okay, once you understand, okay, Krishna is the personality, then how to perceive that personality? That is spoken in this verse. Now we established Krishna as the God. Now how to perceive that personality? That is spoken here. Drasher buddhyadibhir drashta. Buddhyadibhir. So how to see this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from our intelligence. So basically by our intelligence, we can try to understand the presence of the Super Soul. That's what the main point. So the general argument of the common man, Prabhupada says here. Please read this purport.
The general argument of the common man is that since the Lord is not visible to our eyes, how can one either surrender unto him or render divine transcendental service unto him? To such a common man, here is a practical suggestion given by Srila Shukadeva Goswami as to how one can perceive the Supreme Lord by reason, subtle, and perception, gross.
So reasoning is generally in subtle form. In subtle body, we have mind, intelligence, and false ego, where that reasoning can be done. And perception through gross form, the external perception. So Prabhupada is mentioning, he only raised the question, if we can't see the Lord, how we can surrender? Right? We many times people ask, can you show me God? Many people ask Prabhupada also. It's a general question, generally. Can you show me God? Did you see God? Do you have any experience of God? Because you are practicing spirituality from so many years, 20 years, 30 years. Did you have any experience? Prabhupada many times, depending on time, place, circumstances, he gave so many answers. Prabhupada many times mentioned, yeah, I have seen. But would you like to see? You can also see. He was encouraging many times. You can also see. I mean, he quotes generally Gita's verses. When we are tasting water, we are seeing Krishna. When we are in sun, we are seeing Krishna. Because everything is manifestation of Krishna. Of course, this is on one level. This is on one level, seeing Krishna's energies, seeing Krishna in his energies. That is also seeing. Just like a mother sees the baby when she sees the children's paraphernalia, just like slippers or her belongings, whatever, the clothes or the bag, whatever, school bags, etc. When she sees that the things they used by a child, so when she sees that, she immediately remembers the child. So similarly, for a devotee, when he sees the potencies of the Lord, energies of the Lord, he has immediate remembrance. Prabhupada also asked once, one devotee asked, then Prabhupada gave this example. So, when you see my glasses on the table, what do you see? What do you remember? Then the devotee said, Prabhupada, I remember you. Yeah, similarly, a devotee when sees Krishna's energies, immediately sees Krishna. Sees in the sense he remembers Krishna. Seeing on a platform of spiritual level is different. As I mentioned last time, Prema Bhakti, when you come to platform of Prema, then one can see with the eyes Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Krishna manifests himself. Yeah, but at different levels, how we can perceive that's what by intelligence, at least on a sadhaka level, by intelligence one can perceive. That's what Prabhupada mentioned in this purport. very much appealing to the common man. So the presence of Paramatma in everyone's company, the presence of the Paramatma in everyone's company is not very difficult to realize, even for the common man. The procedure is as follows. Prabhupada explains there is something mistake or something, everyone's company is not there. I think something different here. Okay. Everyone's heart, I think this one. Presence of Paramatma in everyone's heart is not difficult to realize, even for the common man. Procedure is as follows. Prabhupada explains very much explains the reason, just like he gives example of how we can differentiate between the body and the soul. That's like we say, this is my hand, this is my leg, this is my head. So who am I? If I say that this is my hand, who are you? That's what Prabhupada logically comes to. You are different from your hand. So the same reasoning that he develops to make us understand more and more how we are different from the body first, and then how we are part and parcel of Krishna. So he gives the analytical understanding of the body at various levels. So it builds up the whole topic. Big purport. Yeah, please read this one.
The Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary conception of the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the further explanation of the science of Godhead. So if we give up our obstinacy and pray for the mercy of the director of intelligence, sitting within the same bodily tree, like a bird sitting with another bird, as explained in the Upanishads, certainly the purport of the revealed information in the Vedas will become clear to our vision, and there will be no difficulty in realizing the supreme personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. The intelligent man, therefore, after many births of such use of intelligence, surrenders himself at the lotus feet of Vasudeva, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita 7.19.
So after many births, Bahunam Janmanamante Gnanam Mahaprabhadyate. So by developing intelligence, one has to come to the point of one's surrender to Krishna. Surrender to Krishna. Yeah, that's what Prabhupada builds the whole topic in the same reasoning that how we are different from the gross body, and then we are different from the subtle body and the soul, and then we come to a conclusion of how we cannot live independently from the Supreme Lord. So we are all dependent on someone, right, for our existence. That's how he brings out the topic of super soul. So because we are not independent in anything here, so we need someone's assistance. So that's how he brings, because super soul is providing everything. So that's how he is the personality whom we are connected to. That's how logically he builds that whole topic, and then gives the conclusion that we need to surrender to that personality. By intelligence, we come to understand that we are different from the body, and furthermore extending the same reasoning that we are dependent on someone always, everyone in this world. No one made this creation. No scientist made this creation in his laboratory, right? And no scientist no scientist can claim or patent on some seeds. Of course, some these different countries claim their patents on different species of life, or patents on some different seeds. But in actuality, no one can claim real patent, real parent, and the real patent is only the Supreme Lord. He has to only provide everything. The whole creation itself has sprung up from the Lord itself, himself. So he is independent, but we are all dependent. We can realize that fact in every aspect of life. We are completely dependent on someone or something always. So that shows that logically that we are dependent on the Supreme Lord in ultimate sense. So Prabhupada concludes. So we need to surrender to him, that personality. We need to glorify him. So that's what the next sloka talking about. Because he is that personality, we need to surrender to him and we need to glorify him. Tasma sarvatmana rajan harihi sarvatra sarvada shrotavya kititavyascha smartavyo bhagavan pranam. Please read translation.
O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere.
So, do you remember any verse, some sort of verse that we read anywhere, somewhere else? Anyone? Do you remember some? Yeah, in the first chapter we read almost same verse. Bhagavan Ichita Bhayam. There it comes those who want Ichita Abhayam who want Tasma Sarvatmana Rajan Hari Sarvatra Sarvata. Yeah, it's almost same line. I just recite the verse. Tasma Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavya Kititavyasya Smaratavyascha Bhayam. So that was the verse they quote in 2.1.5. That's the second canto, first chapter, fifth verse. So that he established in first chapter only about bhakti. Now again still he contrasted with yoga, and now he again is giving conclusion. That's what Srila Goswami is again reciting the beautiful verse. So therefore, one should glorify and remember the Supreme Lord everywhere and always, at all places and all times. So 33 and 34 sadhana bhakti is most auspicious, is established. Nahi anyata shivah pantha. And then 36 last verse, one should practice it by intelligence. So this is 36. So this is 36 verse saying that. So the same sadhana bhakti what is spoken 34-35 is established by Sukadeva Swami and approved by Brahma. So one should take up. That's what the conclusion. And because the intelligence is also established in establishing the fact that we are different and the Lord is the supreme independent, and we are all dependent on him. So we need to surrender unto him by seeing him in everything. So one should hear about him, one should glorify him. That's the connection. Please read the highlighted portion.
Srila Sukadeva Goswami begins this verse with the word tasmat, or therefore, because in a previous verse he has already explained that there is no auspicious means for salvation other than the sublime process of bhakti yoga.
So he already established in 33 that no auspicious means for salvation. Nahi anya shivah pantha. Yeah, that's please read this one also.
The Bhakti Yoga process is practiced by the devotees in different methods like hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshipping, praying, rendering service in love, becoming friendly, and offering all that one may possess. All 9 methods are bona fide methods, and either all of them, some of them, or even one of them can bring about the desired result for the sincere devotees. But out of all the 9 different methods, the first one, namely hearing, is the most important function in the process of Bhakti Yoga. Without hearing sufficiently and properly, no one can make any progress by any of the other methods of practice. And for hearing only, all the Vedic literatures are there, compiled by authorized persons like Vyasadeva, who is a powerful incarnation of Godhead. And since it has been ascertained that the Lord is the supersoul of everything, he should therefore be heard and glorified everywhere and always. That is the special duty of the human being.
So Prabhupada is emphasizing about hearing, first about bhakti, but in essence, Hearing as a foundation. Hearing is the foundation, just like building has a foundation. So we need to the size of the building or the number of the floors of the building directly proportional to the strength of the foundation, right? How much you want to build on top depends on it demands how much foundation it needs, right? So the more we want to progress in spiritual life, that has to the foundation of hearing has to continue. So without hearing sufficiently and properly, so both are there. Prabhupada writing very with clarity and distinction. Without hearing sufficiently, sufficient means we keep on hearing. Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya, we keep on hearing every day, sufficiently and properly. Properly in the sense, from proper sources, authority, authentically we need to hear, authorized persons. So that's the main thing. All these mentions, the scriptures are especially for hearing purpose. So what happens if one does not hear? One does not hear about Lord. He will do here. He will do here. Or many other things using all machines. By using all the machines are the new modern madman machines. He will definitely hear, but he will hear many other things through many other machines that he manufactured. He will not hear from Vedic literature given by Krishna. He will utilize everything else in hearing about everything else than the Lord. Please read this one.
Hearing is solidified by the process of chanting. One who has perfectly heard from the perfect source becomes convinced about the all-pervading personality of Godhead and thus becomes enthusiastic in glorifying the Lord. All the great acharyas like Ramanuja, Madhva, Chaitanya, Saraswati Thakur, or even in other countries, Muhammad, Christ, and others have all extensively glorified the Lord by chanting always and in every place. Because the Lord is all-pervading, it is essential to glorify Him always and everywhere. In the process of glorifying the Lord, there should be no restriction of time and space. This is called Sanatan Dharma or Bhagavad Dharma. Sanatan means eternal, always and everywhere. Bhagavad means pertaining to Bhagwan, the Lord. The Lord is the master of all time and all space, and therefore the Lord's holy name must be heard, glorified, and remembered everywhere in the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity so eagerly awaited by the people of the world.
Because the Lord is all pervading, it is essential to glorify Him always and everywhere. It's a beautiful understanding. Because Lord is Sarvatra, is always is all pervading, is omniscient, omnipresent, is omnipresent. So we need to glorify Him always and everywhere. It's a beautiful understanding. Hearing is solidified by process of chanting. What does that mean? Hearing is solidified by process of chanting. Because whatever we hear, either we speak to ourselves in the sense that we keep on remunerating, just like a cow, or either we speak to others, we share with others. By that process only, whatever we heard will be solidified. Solidified means what? Solidified means it is becoming internalized, assimilated. Just like we eat every day, prasad. So the assimilation is very much needed. Without assimilation, the body will not gain the strength, though it may be digested. So there is two processes are there in biology. There is a digestion and assimilation. Though you may digest food, but unless the body is assimilating what is digested, we don't gain the nutritions from the food prasad. So when I was discussing with one doctor about this one, especially devotees who have vegetarian diet, they have B12 and D3 at low levels. This is suffer from everyone is getting suspicious. So then I asked whether, and when he mentioned that even Muslims in the sense that even those who take meat, they also come to him saying that when the levels of B12 and D3 are less. So then the point came that though they may taking the B12 contents, the B12 sources like meat in a heavy quantity, but still they are unable to assimilate what is there in the food, and that's how they are unable to gain the vitamins from though there is a source like meat in a heavy quantity, in a greater quantity, but still because they are unable to assimilate, they are also facing the same problem of deficiency levels. So that's what doctor told. Definitely. So that shows that though they may be taking and they may be digesting it, but they're unable to assimilate the vitamins. So the assimilation is most important. What we assimilate. So here also we need to, whatever we hear, we need to assimilate into the consciousness. Then that will solidify. Hearing is solidified, the process of chanting for oneself, in the sense that we keep on remembering again and again, remunerating, or remembering again and again, smaranam, or speaking to others, sharing with others. By that it's solidified more and more. Okay. So that's what the verse says, that Tasvat Bharat Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari. So it's the conclusion he mentioned here. We need to hear, glorify the Lord. We need to remember the Lord. Shrotavya Kititavyasya Smartavyo Bhagavan Ram. So we need to remember. Of course, these are three only are mentioned, but it's indicating the bhakti. Though it's three are mentioned, but these are primary limbs. But as Prabhupada mentions, they are 9 limbs because they are the primary, that's why they are mentioned 3. But one can practice 9, one practice 1, one can practice combination of any one. So one can get perfection. Okay, last verse of this chapter. Pibantiye bhagavatatmana satam kathamritam shravanaputeshu samvritam nantite vishaya vidushitashayam vrajanti tatcharana saroruhantikam. Please read.
Those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him, the personality of Godhead.
So this is a beautiful verse, and this is one of the, I think one of the verses where we need to by heart this one. And we have to recite. Pibantiye bhagavatatmanastam kathamritam shravanaputeshu samvritam. Samvritam, amrit hai. This is amrit. Kathamritam shravanaputeshu. Ear holes. How Prabhupada translates. Within ear holes. Yeah. Fully filled samvritam. So we need to pour. So those who drink through oral reception, Prabhupada beautifully translates. Drinking through ears. Generally we're drinking through mouth, the nectar. But this is drinking through ears. Fully filled with the nectarian message. The beloved devotees fully purify. What will happen by hearing? So that is spoken in this verse. What are the results of that practice mentioned in 36? Purifying the heart and returning the back to Godhead. That's what mentioned. To purify the heart, purify the polluted aim of life, known as material enjoyment. And then one returns back to Godhead, to the lotus feet. So these two are the concomitant results. That automatically happens. So though we don't aim at the purification of the heart, that is the secondary result. in bhakti. So generally we speak of purifying the heart, Chetodarpanam, Arjanam, Bhavamahadavajja Nirvapanam. Though we say definitely we say and it's the result, but still it's a secondary goal of the process. The primary is just to please the Lord, glorify the Lord. That should be the main goal of devotee. That I'm trying to please the Lord, I'm trying to glorify the Lord. That's the bhakti actually, the primary aspect of bhakti. And these are all concomitant factors. Yeah. So then Prabhupada explains the problems of society. He builds the topic. And then come to conclusion. So people are having different aims, polluted aims, basically mental enjoyment. Everyone trying to. Please read this one.
The suffering of the human society are due to the polluted aim of life, namely lording it over the material resources. The more human society engage in the exploitation of the undeveloped material resources for sense gratification, the more it will be entrapped by the illusory material energy of the Lord. And thus the distress of the world will be intensified instead of diminished.
Mhm. So the more human society engages in exploitation of the undeveloped material resources for sense gratification, more it will be entrapped. So that the polluted aim of life, material enjoyment. So that's what Prabhupada always brings out the problem, shows how it is a problem, and convinces us how it is a problem, and then he gives the solution. So thus the distress of the world will be intensified instead of diminished. So unless you know what is the problem itself, then we may be increasing the problem. We will increase the problem. Just like we gave example of this, like fire, stove, fire, and child. And if there is a fire in the small fire is there, let us suppose curtain gets fire, caught fire, get caught fire. And if you are fanning it, then it is the fire will increase. If you don't know the solution, what exactly the solution, you may increase the problem. If you don't know, generally people may take some medicine, or if you don't know what exactly to take, the problem will increase unnecessarily. So the solution Prabhupada here brings out. Please read the underline one.
Life is never made comfortable by artificial needs, but by plain living and high thinking. The highest perfectional thinking for human society is suggested here by Shukdev Goswami, namely sufficiently hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. For men in this age of Kali, when they have lost the perfect vision of life, this Srimad Bhagavatam is a torchlight by which to see the real path. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada had commented on the Katha Amrit mentioned in this verse and has indicated Srimad Bhagavatam to be the nectarian message of the personality of Godhead. By sufficient hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, the polluted aim of life, namely lording it over matter, will subside, and the people in general in all parts of the world will be able to live peaceful life of knowledge and bliss.
So the solution Prabhupada concludes and quoting Jiva Goswami is just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, continuous hearing. Hearing in the sense, definitely it's a cycle concludes, the cycle of hearing completes with application. It's not just hearing and not doing anything and acting on that. It concludes, the hearing has to come into action. What is action? We are trying to purify the polluted aim of life. That means is trying to enjoy, trying to lord it over material nature, trying to lord it over in the sense Prabhupada mentions many times. We want to be the boss, we want to be the master, we want to be controller, proprietor, and enjoyer, basically. Bhoktaram Ekratapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Krishna is that. So we keep on reminding our natural position that I am servant of Krishna, I need to serve him. I cannot be controller, I cannot be the enjoyer, cannot be the proprietor. So that is the main root cause. So the more we hear, the more sufficiently we hear Bhagavatam, purifying ourselves more and more from this polluted aim of life, then only we can be peaceful and happy in this life. Here, Prabhupada many times mentions also, we can bring about peace in the world. So that's how we establish the path of bhakti as the prime means to purify, ourselves and establish the aim of life. Please read this one, conclusion.
Thus, by the process of Bhakti Yoga directly accepted, as suggested in this verse, by sufficient hearing of the transcendental message of the Lord, the material contamination is directly eliminated without one's attempting to contemplate the impersonal Virat conception of the Lord, and thus by practicing Bhakti Yoga. If the performer is not purified from the material contamination, he must be pseudo-devotee. For such an impostor, there is no remedy for being freed from material entanglement.
Yeah. Was here Prabhupada saying about impostors in the sense that those who are unable to practice it properly. If it's not, if the performer is not purified from the material contamination, he must be a pseudo devotee. Since he is not serious about it, he is not sincere about it. Of course, it's Prabhupada is mentioning for a person who is a yogi, Virat conception, who is contemplating on that. That also, if he is not able to purify, that means he is not practicing anything. If we are not practicing serious and sincere, then there will not be any change. There will not be any change. Just like the medicine also, though we have taken doctor's advice, doctor gave us the prescription, the diagnosis. First, the diagnosis, what is the disease? And by seeing the diagnosis, one may be convinced, okay, I have the disease, right? Accepting the disease itself is the primary step, one of the main steps. People don't accept only, especially when there is a cancer or when there is some serious disease. Accepting the disease itself is a major step, especially psychological issues or mental issues. People don't accept only first of all. And after accepting, after diagnosis, then it's a major process is to then prescription. The prescription written by a doctor, we need to follow it. If these are not done, then there will not be explanation. That's how we need to practice it, Bhakti Yoga, so that we are purified actually, and then we can taste the nectar kathamritam, what is mentioned here. Pibanti Bhagavatam Tastam. So that's how the process of Bhakti Yoga is established by Sukadeva Swami here in this chapter of second canto, Lord in the Heart. Thus then it's the Bhaktivedanta purpose, the second canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Lord in the Heart. Okay, so then we move on to the third chapter. We will start the third chapter. The third chapter has around 25 verses. It's a very beautiful chapter because it's speaking about bhakti as the main process, as Sukadeva Swami is establishing now as a conclusion. At the same time, he will bring about the path of karma, path of karma, and then again he will show how it is the topmost process. Bhakti is the topmost. He will come to again conclusion. He gave conclusion in the initial, as we mentioned, Tasmat Bharat Sarvatma. Bhagavaneshwaro Harihi Shrotavya Kiritavyasya Smaratavyas Chetla Bhayam almost same verse is quoted at this last verses of the second chapter. In the third chapter also he will establish by putting very beautiful verses, by reciting the verses. We'll come to that one. Okay, you have some question on this one? Please speak, ma'am.
Yes.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One question. In this, I mean, just now what this thing we were reading purports, hearing is most glorified, in the sense hearing is the basic process in Bhakti
Correct.
Yoga. That's how it is said. So
Correct.
one Mataji asked me a question that we are doing hearing and we are doing services. So is it required that we should chant 16 rounds? I mean, if we chant 1 or 2 rounds very attentively, and we are doing hearing, we are attending different classes, and we are doing services also. So, why it is required that we should chant 16 rounds only?
So the question is that we are hearing every day and we are doing services. But why we need to chant only? Why we need to chant? First of all, we can chant only 1 or 2 at least.
1 or 2 with attention, because it is our experience also that when we are chanting 16 rounds, but our mind still gets diverted. So her point was, if we chant only 1 or 2 rounds, very attentively, and rest we are engaged in these other things, other processes. Is it okay, or what is the why it is required that we should chant 16 rounds only?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Many devotees ask why. Some devotees ask that why we need to chant. Why can't we do kirtan for 2 hours? some are very much inclined to that. Why to chant 16 rounds, 2 hours? We will do kirtan for 2-3 hours. Why can't that be done? Yeah. See, and one aspect here, we need to understand. One aspect is that from institutional point of view, Prabhupada gave this instruction. We are following Prabhupada's instruction that Prabhupada himself established the process of taking initiations with prescribed method of chanting 16 rounds on beats every day, and then we follow for relative rituals. This is one of the main institutionalized process. He made it as a process, initiation process. That is one thing, because Prabhupada said that chanting 16 rounds is essential for everyone. That is one thing. That is the one thing that we emphasize especially in ISKCON, that everyone should chant 16 rounds. That's one aspect. And second thing is to understand, definitely we are hearing, as Prabhupada also mentioned in the purport, that any one of the process is okay. One is trying to perfect the devotional service. Why can't we just stick to the hearing? No, but initial stages, it's very difficult to sticking to one process. Definitely, we may try to see that, okay, we are unable to chant now. We are unable to chant. Let us perfect other process. Right? That shows the real conditioned nature, how we are really conditioned. Because remembering Krishna is so tough. Because chanting is the method where we are really tested. Right? Chanting is the place or the time where our real nature is really understood. What is actually is going in the mind. So that in that way we should take that we are unable to concentrate so much that we are actually, the process of devotional service is to remember and glorify the Lord. And as one grows in devotional service, if one is actually developing a taste, he will develop the taste for understanding the holy names also. It's not that we have a great taste to service and we don't have any great taste to hearing or chanting like that. That is not a balanced advancement. So generally, sometimes it appears that I can do 24-hour service, but I can't hear and sit and read or hear and chant 16 hours, etc. Prabhupada gave only one or two exemptions. One before Krishna Prabhu in Vrindavan. Prabhupada could see only advanced devotees can give some exemptions like that. He said he can. He was very much into booking for deities of Radha Shamsundar. For last 45-50 years, recently he left the body. 45-50 years, he was just cooking from morning to night for Radha Shamsundar. So he exempted. Okay, you need not chant. So only advanced devotees, pure devotees can understand what exactly the consciousness of the person, and he can give some exemptions that we cannot take on ourselves. That okay, I will skip the chanting and I can do many services. Initially, we may try to do it, but in the long term, it's very difficult. Long term, because the chanting itself is the main purification process. Remembering Krishna, chanting the holy names, the main purification happens there. So definitely, all other services are also purifying process of senses, engaging the senses in service of the Lord. But in actuality, the attitudes, as I mentioned initially, forms, activities, and attitudes. Hearing will change the attitudes. And definitely, as we keep on hearing, and we will develop the taste. Though we are unable to stand with taste, and it becomes quite difficult, quite stereotyped, quite tasteless, quite burdensome initially. But as we keep on practicing, it will develop the taste. So yeah, as you mentioned, one is the institutionalized Prabhupada mentioned, because Acharyas, they established this process of chanting. Actually, Bhaktivedanta Swami 64, she mentioned as the the process for the devotee to chant. Even Prabhupada used to chant as a grahastha. But by seeing the condition of the Western devotees, initially, as he mentions in his lectures, that he reduced to 16 rounds. See, we can, just to mention last point, that just by understanding that I am not very much inclined to chant, that itself should show how much we are unable to focus on that one. And remembering Krishna, sitting on one place, focusing the mind on the holy name. That itself should show the sign that we need to more and more purify ourselves. But yeah, that's the main point. That chanting is established by Lord Chaitanya. Out of all the 9 processes, even all the acharyas, Krishna Consciousness also mentions many times, all the forms of devotional service, chanting the holy names is the main process of developing love for Krishna. Definitely, all of those processes also are having the capability and the potency. Yeah, but it is, as another point I mentioned, that as we are developing the taste, we are actually developing taste and love for Krishna, should result in chanting his holy names, remembering him. Because chanting itself is a remembrance process. Right? So he will definitely develop a taste as one grows in devotional service. Hope making some sense.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
One point we can mention is one is institutionalized process. This is as Acharyas mentioned, it's not a compulsory, it's Acharyas mentioning that we need to chant 16 hours every day. And it is a process, it is the place where we test ourselves whether we are actually developing a taste to Krishna, remembering Krishna. whatever we are developing, we are actually having great taste and love to Krishna. We any other process also, any other thing, when we have great love, we love to do it. Right? Similarly, if we are actually developing taste or love towards Krishna, means that we need to also have that kind of inclination to chant his names. If there is lacking, means we have only external what do you say, attractions towards other process of devotion, such as service or hearing. Yeah, that's one. That way, that's also we can see like a sign. Yeah, that is another measure. And the third one is all the acharyas, especially Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even acharyas mentioned that chanting is the main method that by which we develop love for Krishna as early as possible. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So the Pure Devotional Service, chapter 3, the change in the heart. So we completed chapter 2 with establishing bhakti as the ultimate process. Please read the commentary by Vishnu Chakatagar and Prabhupada.
In the third chapter, it is explained that the results of worshipping devatas is insignificant and that senses are useless without being employed in bhakti to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Gyan Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of different varieties of worship of different demigods. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10.
In the purport of the 10th verse of this chapter, Prabhupada concludes about the last two chapters and this chapter also. It gives kind of a summary. So both karma and jnana are the ultimate goal of both of them is bhakti, as we have already many times explained. The first section is about devatas, how they are worshipping. It's a bit insignificant in terms of the results that one is aspiring. How less intelligent people aspire for many other results, other pleasures of this world. That's what is explained. And then in the other section of third chapter, the famous verses comes how these Shaunak Rishis they explain the useless all the senses when they are not employed in the service of the Lord. So we will see the section. Please read the summary of the different sections.
Verses 1 to 12. Shukdev Goswami describes benefits of worshipping various demigods to fulfill various material desires. But he recommends that a person of intelligence, whether full of material desire, without material desire, or desiring liberation, should worship the personality of Godhead. Number 2. Only by the association of pure devotee of the Lord can one achieve the highest perfectional benediction, which is unflinching attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verses 13 to 16. Shaunak Rishi implores Shuta Goswami to continue narrating the dialogue about the Supreme Lord between Sukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord from his very birth, and so was Sukdev Goswami. When such devotees are assembled together, there can be no topics save discussion of the glories of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah, so till 16th May we may cover today. Let us see. Of course, the last section same establishes the fact that we need to employ all the senses in the service of the Lord. Otherwise, we are just wasting our lives. Very beautiful chapter. 1 minute, I'll just come. Text 1. Shrishukovacha evametannigaditam prushtavan yadbhavan mama pranam yan primananam Manusheshu Manishinam.
Sri Shukdev Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, as you have inquired from me as to the duty of intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you.
So here Sukadeva Goswami is replying to Parikshit Maharaj that whatever you have asked me, what is the duty of a person in general and in particular about a dying man. So I have answered. What Prabhupada explains about Prabhupada brings out the point. Manusheshu Manishinam. Manusheshu means among the human beings, the intelligent person, what he does. So that's what Prabhupada explains. The rarity of human life, the rarity of a person who is inquiring about spiritual life. So, please read this highlighted portion.
They may be situated in different high and low positions in the estimation of human society, but one should know definitely that unless one inquires about his own self beyond the body and the mind, all his activities in human life are total failures.
They means all of us, millions and millions of people. All of us in the sense that people, human beings in general, we are maybe situated in different positions. But unless we inquire about ourselves, human life is a failure. So we should inquire. We should inquire. That inquiry should lead to the scriptures. From the scriptures, we can understand what is the goal of life, why we are here, what we need to do to achieve our goal. So what is the goal? What is the means? So all this, we need to consult the scriptures. Prabhupada used the example of the just like a child wants to understand his father. How you will understand? You will understand by asking his mother. That is the authentic method. The proof of, it's a Pakka method. It's a bona fide method of asking mother who is the father. So Vedas are compared to mother. All the Vedic literature compared to mother. The Supreme Lord is father. Otherwise, one is keep on trying to do experimentation. Who is my father? Prabhupada explains even millions of lives you may spend, one will not be able to conclusion. One will not get a conclusion. So one need to approach the scriptures. So the scriptures, they direct towards the sadhus. Scriptures, they will direct one to approach the sadhu, approach a personality. So that's how we have seen also in Gita, that Vidhi Pranipadena Pariprashnena Sevaya. We need to approach a personality. We cannot just take scriptures as the final in our life. Yeah, it has to be, the foundation has to be the Shastra. The sadhu has to be there as well, because scriptures themselves direct one towards sadhu. But in Prabhupada writes, but in spite of reading, hearing the scriptures, unless one is in touch with his realized spiritual master, he cannot actually realize the self, the real nature of the self, etc. So we cannot come to a conclusion just by reading. We cannot come to a conclusion just by understanding the language of English. We cannot understand the medical books, right? Just by knowing English, if I say that I can read and understand the biology and the botany, etc., I can become a medical man. It's not possible at all. So the language is one thing, but the topic is another thing. So just by knowing Sanskrit, one may read scriptures, but he will not get anything at all, because the subject matter is entirely different. So we need to approach the spiritual master, self-realized spiritual master. Then only we can understand the essence. Yeah, something. So this Madhyalila, what Prabhupada quotes this here, how Krishna gave the beautiful verse here. Maya Mukta Jivera Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan Jivera Kripa Kaila, Krishna Veda Puran. So Krishna, the conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort. But out of causeless mercy, Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and its supplements, the Puranas. So we cannot on our own find out who is my father. I desperately need help of mother. So that's what Prabhupada establishes, that we need to approach everyone, especially people in general, should take the help of scriptures. Please read this one.
The whole Bhakti Yoga process is therefore a revival of the lost relation. This revival is possible in the human form of life, which is obtained only rarely in the evolutionary cycle of 84 lakh species of life. The intelligent class of human being must take serious note of this opportunity. Not all human beings are intelligent, so the importance of human life is not always understood. Therefore, Manishinam, meaning thoughtful, is particularly used here. A Manisinam person like Maharaj Parikshit must therefore take to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and fully engage himself in the devotional service of hearing and chanting the holy name and pastimes of the Lord, which are all Hari Katha Amrit. This action is especially recommended when one is preparing for death.
Yeah, though we are being given the process and the opportunity of human life, and in human life, we have some intelligence to understand the importance of spiritual life. And in spiritual life as well, we came in touch with this bona fide method of reviving our original relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Even many may be interested in spiritual life, but coming to a proper conclusion is itself is a great fortune. So Prabhupada many times mentions that one who doesn't come to bhakti is misfortune. He has a misfortune. He's unable to take it. But one who has come to Krishna consciousness and one who did not realize the process, who is leaving that is the most great misfortune. A great misfortune that is unable to accept the process or leaving the process, is unable to fructify in the process of devotional service. That is most misfortune. So, as devotees, we definitely understand the rarity of the human life, the process of devotional service, but we endeavor more and more in perfecting this process of devotional service. So, text 2 to 7, here where Sukadeva Swami is saying different activities of less intelligent people who they worship. These less intelligent people who they worship, and then he will contrast with the most intelligent person who they worship, the intelligent people. That's how he contrasts with bhakti and with this karma yoga, all people. So verses are in the sense. We'll skip these verses. We can read translation. Please read.
One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma or Brahaspati, the learned priest. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra, and one who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors called the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship fire, and one who aspires only after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero.
One who wants a large stock of grains should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planet should worship the sons of Aditi. One who desires a worldly kingdom should worship Vishwadeva, and one who wants to be popular with the general mass of population should worship the Sadhya demigod. One who desires a long span of life should worship the should one who one who desires to beautiful how span of life should worship the demigods known as the Ashwini Kumaras, and a person desiring a strongly built body should worship the earth. One who desires stability in his post should worship the horizon and the earth combined. One who desires to be beautiful should worship the beautiful residents of the Gandharva planet, and one who desires a good wife should worship the Apsaras and the Urvashi society girls of the heavenly kingdom. One who desires domination over others should worship Lord Brahma, the head of the universe. One who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead. And one who desires a good bank balance should worship the demigod Varuna. If one desires to be a greatly learned man, he should worship Lord Shiva. And if one desires a good marital relation, he should worship the chaste goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva.
So now Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parishit Maharaj. He mentioned that I just spoke. It is the most essential process, sadhya and sadhana. Sadhana bhakti is the topmost process. And now he is again speaking about how different people, especially the less intelligent people, worship different demigods for their different fulfilling the different desires. And he gave the activities of these personalities, activities in the sense that they worship all these personalities for their fulfilling the these desires. So in this way, it's a kind of explaining this whom should be worshipped in negative way. And basically these personalities, we no need to worship these personalities for these desires. Rather, one should worship the Supreme Lord for the ultimate result of bhakti, the prema, which is only satisfying to the heart. So that is the main point here. It will be established by Sukadeva Goswami by contrasting with these personalities mentioning here is these verses by saying that less intelligent people especially approach these personalities to fulfill their less intelligent desires. As Gita also mentions, Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, which mentions that Alpamedasam, Prabhupada many times mentions. So Alpamedasam in the sense, these people who have less intelligent in the sense that they are unable to see the shreyas, praise and shreyas, we always say. Just like a child, if he is given 20 chocolates and along with that 100 rupee note, I mean, for the child, a small child, 1-year child, he may not understand the value of a 100 rupee note, but he is very much attracted to the chocolates. If an intelligent person is there, he will understand in 100 rupees there are maybe 200 or 300 chocolates. But the child may not understand by seeing the immediate results because of the less intelligence. The consciousness is less evolved. So similarly, people are attracted to the different desires. The whole thing, the main thrust here is that the desires of the living entity. Because the driving force for everything is the desire, right? Even for practicing devotional service, we have the desire. In the sense, we have highest desire to please Krishna. That is also desire. That is the best desire. But all other people also in the world, everybody having their own desires, having different levels of desires. So everybody is trying to fulfill their desires. That's how the whole world is running. But what one should not desire, that is spoken here. all this going to different planetary systems, worshipping different demigods. That is mentioned here. Please read the underlying version.
There are different modes of worship for different persons desiring success in particular subjects. The conditioned soul living within the pure view of the material world cannot be an expert in every type of materially enjoyable asset, but one can have considerable influence over a particular matter by worshipping a particular demigod as mentioned above.
So I may not be able to achieve particular materially enjoyable asset because it's beyond my karma. That basically I don't have the fortune or the destiny that I need to have to. Let us suppose particular material asset, like a big post, like becoming a big position in the society, prime minister, chief minister, or a company owner, such kind of many other. Please mute yourself. So yeah, so these desires are there. What I was saying is we may not have destiny to achieve particular asset materially. By worshipping a particular personality or demigod, by pleasing him, we will definitely achieve that kind of an asset, because that personality can bestow that benediction. Just like Prabhupada gives the example of Ravana. He was worshipping Lord Shiva. Even Lord Brahma gave benediction to Hiranyakashipu. Of course, Hiranyakashipu, he asked something else, but he gave different benedictions which are beyond himself, beyond Hiranyakashipu. But by worshipping different demigods, one can also achieve more higher powers. So the less intelligent will be attracted to the lower enjoyments, as we discussed the example. So the intelligence will not see the shreyas. That's the main problem with intelligence. Gita verses also, many verses speak about this principle. Dhayado vishayan pumsam sangasteshu pajayate sangan sanjayate kama krodha vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinashat pranashyati. So the last door for the soul to entangle himself is buddhi. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So the moment the intelligence loses the discrimination, what is shreyas and what is preyas, that time the soul tries to be entangling. I mean, the soul entangles more and more here in this metaphor, ignorance. So that starts with the whole cycle is explained in the second chapter. That starts with Dhyayato Vishyam Pumsam, how the cycle works, but the intelligence has to be very sharp. Just like we have in kitchen knife we use for cutting vegetables. If the knife is not very sharp, if it doesn't have a very sharp edge, cutting vegetables takes quite a frustrating experience. Many mothers might have experience. If you don't have a proper knife to cut vegetables, kitchen it's really a frustrating experience. Even if you see a nail cutter or any other cutting instrument, if the scissors is not working properly, it's quite frustrating and it's quite troublesome also. Similar intelligence is compared to like a knife, but if it has to be sharpened, the knife has to be sharpened regularly so that the cutting is becomes quite easy. So the intelligence has to be sharp enough to cut through the illusions. What is false? What is truth? What is entangling? What is liberating? So that's how subuddhi, the sense of, there are two terms, kubuddhi and subuddhi. Even intelligence has two levels. The materially motivated intelligence is below the mind. In actually the categorization of senses, then above the senses is the mind, above the mind is intelligence, above the intelligence is the false ego, and above false ego is the soul. That's what we generally read in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhyah param manah manasastu parabuddhi yobuddhi parasastu saha. So, but the intelligence, the materially motivated intelligence is below the mind. What Gita is projecting the sequence is the intelligence which is sharpened by spiritual knowledge. That intelligence will be above the mind, but the intelligence which is motivated by or influenced by the material enjoyment will below the mind, because the mind always acts as like a boss. Whatever mind says, intelligence follows. Yes, sir, my intelligence will say. And intelligence will definitely plans very intelligently how to fulfill the desires of whatever mind is saying. We use the intelligence in the fulfilling the desires of the mind and false ego, which is supported by false ego. So that's why we need to sharpen our intelligence. Sharpening process is the same. What we're discussing, that we are just like we are hearing the portion of Bhagavatam, hearing, reading. These are like a sharpening our knife. We can immediately cut through the illusions. What will be beneficial, what is not beneficial to our lives. Otherwise, day in and day out, without sharpening our intelligence, we will be deluded, and the intelligence will get be deluded. Then we lose our destiny. We lose our discriminating power. Then we'll fall again into the mental entanglement more and more. Please read this one.
Death is inevitable for everyone, intelligent or foolish. But Parikshit Maharaj has been addressed by the Goswami as the Manasi, or the man of highly developed mind, because at the time of death he left all material enjoyment and completely surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing his messages from the right person, Shukdev Goswami. But as aspirations for material enjoyment by endeavoring persons are condemned. Such aspirations are something like the intoxication of the degraded human society. Intelligent persons should try to avoid these aspirations and seek instead the permanent life by returning home back to Godhead.
So here Prabhupada mentions that Manishi, the man of highly developed mind. Highly developed mind, here it reflects the highly developed intelligence. What Prabhupada is meaning, highly developed intelligence. Manishi, he has to be. Understand that death is inevitable for everyone, intelligent or foolish. But here, an intelligent person will not take to any kind of material enjoyment as the ultimate goal of his life. Amen. Senses need some engagement, senses need some fulfillment, but in connection with Krishna, that has to be done. So Sudeva Swami here explaining about how different personalities who have less intelligence will approach different personalities of the universe to fulfill their desires, which are not at all required, that he will conclude now in the upcoming verses. Dharmardhavattama shlokam tanto tanvan pitrun yajet rakshaka punyajanan ojas kamo marganan. Is it?
Translation: one should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of dynasty. One should worship the various demigods.
So same thing continues. One should worship, especially here, Lord Vishnu is contrasted. For those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge, one should worship Vishnu. Others are worshipping different demigods for a different material facilities, material pleasures. Text 9. Rajyakamo manundevan nirritim tu abhicharan yajet kama kamo yajet soma akama purusham param.
Translation. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manuj. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Please read.
For the
Please read.
liberated person, all the enjoyments listed above are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by material modes of external energy are captivated by different types of material enjoyment. In other words, the transcendentalist has no material desires to be fulfilled, whereas the materialist has all types of desires to be fulfilled. The Lord has proclaimed that the materialistic.
Yeah. So, in other words, transcendental has no material desires to be fulfilled, whereas materialists have all types of desires to be fulfilled. As I mentioned, the desire is the prime driving force for all the activities for everyone in this world, and even spiritual world also, right? Even spiritual world also. Everything is rotating in the moving around the desires of the different personalities, either in this world or spiritual world. But their desires, that's why Prabhupada, of course, the topic will come in the upcoming verses. What exactly it means, desirelessness, what is meant by, what is actually we should desire, that will come. We'll explain there. Okay. The proclamation of the Lord in Bhagavad Gita, same point. One should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Person of Godhead. So we try to, once Prabhupada was leaving to airport, and he was just about to enter into car. I think it's after morning walk, I think. Not airport, it's after morning walk, Prabhupada was leaving. And he was just trying to get into the car. And that time all the devotees were walking, were behind, and one devotee was running to Prabhupada, and just Prabhupada was entered into car and closed the door. He just ran and just saw the Prabhupada in the window and asked, Prabhupada, what we need to become Krishna conscious? I was asking to Prabhupada, what we should do to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada just paused for 2 seconds and then said one word, the desire. Desire, that's what he just said, and Prabhupada left. So that's how the Prabhupada gave such a profound understanding within a simple word, desire, because that is the driving force for everything. So we change our desires from just like we had different desires before coming to Krishna consciousness. I want to become a big man, big position, fat salary, good family, having cars, big buildings in different cities, whatever. A beautiful partner, beautiful children, good family name, whatever. So we have so many desires previously coming to Krishna consciousness, but what happened is that change in the desire. So now, okay, we want to distribute books, we want to read Bhagavatam, we want to chant the names, we want to go to temple, we want to serve the devotees, we want to be initiated, and we want to advance in spiritual life. Right, our desires. I never thought that I will be reading Srimad Bhagavatam. These are entirely different when we compare to the past. But we are here. So what changed is the association of the devotees. We changed our desires. That's the powerful impact of the devotee association. That will come up now, that topic will come up. That is, so Sukadeva Swami mentions that how we change our desires. One should not desire, therefore, any sort of material enjoyment. That's the main point. If Lord is proclaiming something, who is opposing it? So the Lord is proclaiming that don't try to fulfill your material desires, don't try to become less intelligent. The Lord is proclaiming in Gita that the material enjoyment is not at all the ultimate goal of life. It is only temporary. It is only gives you misery in the name of happiness. It's just source of unhappiness. It's source of misery. Nateshu ramate buddha adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. By understanding that all the material pleasures have a beginning and end, so an intelligent person will not delight in it. So that's what Gita and many verses in Gita, Krishna proclaims that material enjoyment will not satisfy the soul in depth. So, but who is proclaiming? Though Lord is proclaiming, but who is opposing? Prabhupada mentions that all the leaders of society, they are giving more and more promises that you will be happy by material enjoyment. Please read this there.
Yes. No one can reach. The leaders of ascension persons are still more nonsensical because they preach only and foolishly. That one can worship any form of demigod and get the same result. This sort of preaching is not only against the teachings of Sri Bhagavad Gita and those of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but is also foolish, just as it is foolish to claim that with the purchase of any travel ticket, one may reach the same destination. No one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. It is clearly defined here that person impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship, but one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. And this worshipping process is called devotional service.
So we should not be deviated, we should not be distracted, we should not be deluded by all the presentations of illusion in terms of advertisements, in terms of media, in terms of leaders, in terms of whole material energy. Every I mean, at different levels we are tested, we can say like that. We are tested. But by sticking to our process, sincerity and seriousness, definitely we can all, with intelligence, we will definitely able to understand what is truth, what is false, and we can go ahead. Please read this one. Highlighted portion. Hare Krishna.
For fulfillment of material desires, one may worship the Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different, as will be explained in the next verse. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment.
Yeah, it's a beautiful point. That generally the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. Sri Chaitanya also beautiful verses are there explaining about how when a devotee approaches the Lord to fulfill the material desires, but Lord's understanding the condition, he will give his Sharanamrit instead of fulfilling his material desires. By that, he will make him, Krishna will make him to forget his material enjoyment tendency, purify him. Of course, it's case to case. If Lord feels that he needs it for his purification, he may give it, and sometimes he may not give it at all. So it depends on case to case and Lord's desire, how he wants to. But Lord's the overarching driving force in the sense that for the Lord, what drives the Lord is that how the living entity can come back to him as early as possible and as easily as possible. So that's how Lord is planning. But because we may not be able to understand the Lord's exact plan, so we may be becoming more and more making it difficult, or more and more becoming delay in our going back. But with our trying to practice bhakti, we surely understand, we go ahead in our process. So the conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for the material enjoyment, and for this one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Param Purusham, or beyond anything material. Sripad Shankaracharya has also stated, Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Krishna is the Supreme, so one should worship. So this is the establishing words of how bhakti is topmost. How one should worship. How one should worship the Supreme Lord, even though one's condition may be having many desires or not having desires exactly. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama avataradhihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. Is it?
Hare Krishna. The person who has border intelligence, whether he be full of all material desires, without any material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead.
So, Akama, Sarakama, till now there are all the verses are mentioning about many desires, right? So many desires people have, they are worshipping different personalities to fulfill their desires. But here Shukadeva Goswami is concluding that Akama, Sarvakama, whether you don't have any desires, one who has transcended all material desires, Kamaha. Sarvakama, whether you have so many desires to fulfill, one who has some total of material desires. Moksha Kama, you have desire to liberate, to merge in Brahman. You have that one Moksha Kama, Udaharadi. The intelligent person should worship Ejeta Purusha Param. How that worship should be? Tivrena, that should be Tivra, that should be intense. How Bhakti Yogena, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. One should practice Bhakti Yoga and it should be with Tivra. What is meant by Tivra? That will be explained later. What translation is with great force? Tivra means with great force. Tivra is described by Prabhupada also that one should not mix with any other process of karma and jnana. Means one should not desire for material enjoyment or mitigation of suffering. Both. So by that it becomes Tivra, intense, great force. That's how one should worship the Supreme Lord. That's then a person who has broad intelligence. Till now, the less intelligent person activities are described. And now here contrast with the most intelligent person. The most intelligent person is the person who is worshipping the Lord, worshipping the Supreme Lord, not any other demigods. So that's how it's contrasted here. So one should worship the Supreme Lord, whatever one may have desires. So Vaishnava Chakravarti is saying that having mentioned the activities of the foolish people, Sukadeva then mentions the activities of intelligent person. Udaridhi. Person desiring to destroy all material desires, Akama, should worship the Supreme Person Bhagavan. Yeah, that's how here's the comment on this verse. Now Prabhupada explains Sajeta Purusham. Who is that Purusham? Prabhupada establishes that how Krishna is the beyond Brahmajyoti and how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada also, from this verse only, we read the initial essence of the chapter, how Bhakti Yoga is established as the topmost process in comparison with Karma and Jnana. Bhakti Yoga is a supreme process. That's what Prabhupada mentions here. And then now is the understanding of Akama. Akama, Sarvakama, Moksha Kama, Udarati. Akama, what is meant by akama? It's desirelessness. An akama is one who has no material desire. What does it mean? Akama means. Prabhupada beautifully explains, quoting Jiva Swami. Please read this one. Highlight the question.
Srila Jiva Goswami explain this desireless as
Bhajaniya Parapurusha Sukamatra Swasukatvam.
in the Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord.
It's a very beautiful
happiness of.
Yeah, there's a beautiful definition given by Jiva Swami. What is meant by desirelessness? Akamatvam. Akamatvam means Bhajaniya Paramapurusha Sukamatra Swasukatvam. Bhajaniya means Bhajaniya Paramapurusha is the Supreme Lord. Bhajaniya, who should be worshipped? Paramapurusha, that Paramapurusha Sukha, Sukamatra, Swasukatvam. Our only happiness is to make the Supreme Lord happy. See, one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of Supreme Lord. So that is desirelessness. So of course, Prabhupada explains the desirelessness in a practical experience. Please read this one.
Hare Krishna. In the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of Supreme Lord. Such super feelings.
Okay. Yeah, the example is given to explain the principle. Definitely, we are all trying to please someone. The desirelessness means to see the happiness of the Supreme Lord. That happiness is our happiness, just like a mother. Simple example, everybody experiences here. That's why Prabhupada also giving the practical experience that in this material world also, in the mundane field also, everyone serves other people, and by seeing their happiness considers fulfillment of their happiness. Just like a mother feels very happy when child is happy. Mother is 24 hours working, waking up early in the morning, cooking and packing and sending him to school. So she might be serving the child. By seeing the happiness of the child, she feels very happy. Extending that one, Prabhupada explains that everyone in the form of society, community, family, country, and humanity, they want to make others happy so that they also feel happiness themselves. This is simply reflection of the original idea. Pure divinity feels happiness, but the happiness is supreme. So that has to be diverted into the Supreme Lord. By seeing the happiness of the Supreme Lord, we need to develop that kind of a mentality that I will be happy that by pleasing the Supreme Lord. That is actually desirelessness. One should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. The whole process of bhakti itself is that one. That we want to make Krishna happy. In the sense that his representatives like Prabhupada, like doing a distribution, or helping in distribution, or helping in who are distributing this month especially, or by various other services. Pleasing Krishna means pleasing his devotees. That should be the main conclusion. It's a prasada, Bhagavad prasada. That will come in the next verse. How one should connect with the Lord. But here the point is the main point is the akamatvam means that we are trying to please the Krishna. In that we are finding happiness. That is exhibited by the example is given by gopis of Vrindavan. Their only happiness is to please Krishna. So then Prabhupada compares with this moksha kama with pure devotion. Moksha kama means one who is desiring liberation One is trying to find happiness and liberation. But generally, devotees doesn't desire any kind of liberation, in the sense that he doesn't want to merge in Brahman, but he wants to serve the Lord. That is explained. And lastly, he explains Udharati, man has a broader outlook, intelligent person, understands that all this material enjoyment will not make me happy at all. And then he takes to service of the Lord. Please read the last 4 lines.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
This implies that Bhakti Yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana, as the unmixed sunrays are very forceful and are therefore called
Tivra. Yeah.
Tivra. Similarly, unmixed Bhakti Yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motives.
What is meant by Tivra is explained here. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Kama Sarva Kama Moksha Kama Udharati Tivrena. What is Tivra? Tivra means just as sun rays, when they are unmixed, in the sense that unmixed, when they are not, when the clouds are not there, they are very forceful, they are very intense, right? When summer is there, sun is same, right? Whether it is summer or winter or rainy season, sun is always there, right? But our experience of the sun is different because of change in the atmosphere just above us. Correct? The sun is always having the same amount of heat. It's producing, it's emanating the same temperature with the core of the sun. It's producing the same amount of increasing the same amount of heat. But our experience is different with different phases of seasons: summer, winter, rainy, autumn, etc. Our experience will be different because we are covered over by different seasons. Similarly, when the bhakti has to be intense, that needs to be unmixed. That needs to be unmixed with other processes. Other processes like karma and jnana. That's what the comment. Just like sunlight should not be mixed with the clouds in order to become tivra. So similarly, our bhakti should not be mixed by karma and jnana. Then only it will become tivra. That's how it's explained. So one and all, hearing and etc. may be performed one by one and all, regardless of inner motive. So akama, samakama, moksha kama vadharati, tivrena bhakti yoga nivita pushpa. That's all one need to perform. Okay, we'll complete this one and we'll pause. Etavaneva yajatam iha nishreyasodayaha bhagavatyacharo bhavo yad bhagavata sankataha. Please read.
All the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction, which is spontaneous attraction unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord.
So here comes the point that whether by worshipping demigods, will demigod worship naturally graduate to Tivra Bhakti? No. Everyone needs the association of the pure devotee, association of the devotees. Yeah, that association of the devotees is the main factor. Even karmika, those who are practicing karma or jnana, they have to come to the process of devotional service. And coming to process of devotional service means they should have the association of the devotees. That's how sadhu sangha, shraddha sadhu sangha, especially the sadhu sangha, the whole bhakti starts with sadhu sangha only. Satam Krupa, as Vishnu Thakur mentions. Satam Krupa, you might have read in the first canto, Nardamani section. You might have heard from these speakers about who have explained, might have explained the 14 steps of 9 steps mentioned by Goswami, or mentioned by 14 stages of bhakti by Vishnu Thakur. First start with Satam Krupa, the mercy of the devotee. And also later on also the Sadhu Sangha continues, has to continue. It continues till Prema also. It is there always, Sadhu Sangha. So by association of devotees only, we continue ahead in bhakti. So Prabhupada explains the struggle for existence. We all struggle for existence only to gain highest happiness. So Prabhupada bringing out the previous topic, it cannot be achieved by different worships of demigods. That's what Prabhupada initially again he is building the topic that we cannot achieve the highest happiness by worshipping demigods. We should take the process of devotional service. The history of universe is full of such plan makers, and many kings and emperors come and go, leaving a plan making story only. But the prime problems of life remain unsolved despite all endeavors by such plan makers. Yeah, we are all trying to solve the problems and trying to improve the happiness, but still the stories and the plans remain same. One can never solve these problems by satisfying the different demigods, by different modes of worship, or by so-called scientific advancement in knowledge without the help of God or the demigods. So Prabhupada builds the topic, and he is just commenting on that previous section about demigods, that whether demigods exist or not. So demigods' existence is itself, Prabhupada is proving that there are higher personalities, there are higher authorities, there are different departments in the universe who are supplying to us, who are guiding us. Their existence is a tangible proof. They are there, otherwise we cannot manage them. We cannot manage them. We cannot have any kind of resources without their managing the departments. So he's giving proof from the Gita. But of course, Prabhupada also has commented that how we are all trying to search out different moons and planets to satisfy, but we cannot. Especially the scientists are trying, leaders are trying to go somewhere else. So Prabhupada is saying that we cannot approach their planets also by our scanty means. Then he's giving understanding of theists, what the devotees who are following Vedas, or the devotees' understanding is that we acquire knowledge from Vedas. We take the authority of the Vedas. We accept the personalities in a higher planets, existence of the planets, based on Shastra and based on sadhus. These Prabhupada quotes all the acharyas, that we accept all these facts based on them. And Gita versus Prabhupada quotes. What is the benefit of our demigods, worshippers compared to materialists? Prabhupada explains, contrasting the material materials versus demigod worshippers. Materialists, in the sense, those who are not believing at all in Vedas, are demigod worshippers. Therefore, unless the gross materialists or worshippers of the temporary demigods come in contact with the transcendents like pure devotee of the Lord, their attempts are simply waste of energy. Yeah. Whether you believe in the higher planetary systems or not, or even if you believe in the demigods and worshipping them for temporary results, they have to come to contact with the devotee. Otherwise, all their attempts will be lost of energy, wasting of life. Okay, that's how the importance of association of the devotees established in this verse by Srila Goswami. Okay, we pause here for today. The chapter is small, only 25 verses are there. Maybe in next class we can complete this one. 13 more verses are there. Yeah, but this is the section where we almost completed, where Srila Goswami is establishing 1 to 12 verses. He establishes pure devotional service versus demigods, worshippers, till 12 verses. One more verse is there, but then we see the next class. We'll see in the next class. And then the last section where Sonakrushi is glorifying different personalities like Parishit Maharaj, Sutta Goswami, and Parishit Maharaj. He glorifies and then he criticizes the people who are not taking to bhakti. We will see in the last section next week. Thank you so much for your patient hearing and enthusiastic participation. If you have any question, maybe those who have question, they can ask here. I can be here for some time. Others can leave, those who have services, those who want to leave. Maybe one question I can take if you have. Or we'll pause here.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Okay, we'll pause for the day. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gandhra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Swanchaka Gurudasya. Pasandu Devat Vedam Bhavane Vaishnava. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.